passion, complicated science, dumb comedy, and philosophical concepts beyond our understanding. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has it all. Hirohiko Araki pulled ideas straight out of the realms of philosophy, high-end fashion magazines, theoretical physics, and just mashed it all together. I mean, who else would think, what if I create a character who can make people infinitely die? Scientifically, of course. But also, let's make the character look runway ready and Gucci. This video dives into how JoJo fights don't just defy logic, they obliterate it, rearrange it, throw it out the window, and then pull it back in for another beating, bro. Also, if you're new around here, please subscribe and like the video because I put a ton of effort into these, and we're just big nerds around here and we just like having fun. Alright, time to jump into the weird, the wonderful, and the nonsensical world of JoJo fights. Buckle up. Let's start with part 5 of JoJo's, where things start to make even less sense than usual, and they never made sense from the beginning. Our boy Giorno, the fabulous offspring of Dio, takes on Diavolo, a man whose stand can skip through time. This guy's stand, King Crimson, is basically like a real-time video editor. Imagine just hitting skip in real life on a boring conversation or like in class. That's literally what this guy can do. Like, that's his power. But King Crimson is a little bit more complicated. It can only skip up to 5 seconds, and only Diavolo himself remembers anything in those seconds of time that's skipped. Yeah, it sounds like cheating to me too, bro. So how does this work? Well, in Araki's JoJo Science, we're looking at a theoretical dive into Einstein's theory of relativity. Diavolo would theoretically have to hit speeds close to light to dilate time, which means he'd literally be tearing through his own personal reality pocket at a speed that would make NASA nervous, bro. At this point, you might be wondering, how did anyone ever beat this guy? Well, Araki had that covered, and then he overcovered it. My man Araki decided to give Giorno one of the most broken abilities in anime history. He gave him a stand called Golden Experience Requiem, which basically just says, not only can I go light speed, but I'm also breaking every single law of physics ever known to man. Without any shame, by the way. Giorno doesn't just catch Diavolo, he traps bro in an infinite death loop, forcing him to experience constant, never-ending deaths. Araki's thought process must have just been, how do I create one of the most broken abilities in manga and not explain it at all? Yeah, Araki just gives us no scientific explanation and is literally an anomaly in space and time if we were to really look at Giorno's stand. But we're gonna go to the next one. Now let's head to part 6, where JoJo logic goes from confusing to just what is even happening right now. Just straight BS. Jolene Kujo, our main character, faces off against Pastor Pucci. Stand is named Made in Heaven. You'd think the godlike themes would stop there, right? Nope. This stand lets Pucci, wait for it, I don't know if you're ready for this one, reset the entire universe. And if you were to ask how does he do it, it actually makes a little bit of sense. It's still just so ridiculous though. My man Pucci accelerates time to the point that the universe collapses into one single point, a singularity point. Yeah, you heard that right. Pucci basically one-shots reality by making time go fast enough that physics literally just taps out. It just says nah. So Jolene, a normal human being, in the face of a literal universe resetting power, does the logical thing, and I would do the same. She calls up her homies and Jojo and jumps bro with 5 stand users. And what's the result, you may ask? Yeah, Pucci wins. Yeah. I mean, how do you even beat this thing? Like, really? In this alternate universe, however, Pucci dies from a kid that likes baseball. I'm not gonna explain that further. But like, how do you create a character so overpowered that they reset existence and you get outsmarted by a kid? This is why JoJo's Bizarre Adventure makes no sense. It's literal chaos, bro. Araki's like, here's an unstoppable power, but just in case he does win, let's have a random kid handle it. Oh man, I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I hope you guys could hear the sarcasm. And then, just when we thought JoJo fights couldn't possibly get any weirder, part 7 Still Ball Run arrives. Horse races, alternate realities? It's like Araki spun a wheel labeled, what's the wildest thing I could do next? And bro hit the jackpot. Our protagonist, Johnny Joestar, goes up against Funny Valentine, the president of the United States, and the owner of one of the most broken stands I think I've ever seen. The stand name is D4C, or Dirty D's Done Dirt Cheap, and yes, that's the actual name. So what's so terrifying about D4C? Well, it has the power to travel across alternate dimensions and bring other versions of people from different universes into this one. In short, Funny Valentine can pull a backup of himself from another reality every time he's in trouble. Infinite clones of yourself to swap out when things get messy. Sounds pretty overpowered, right? Well, it gets crazier. With D4C Love Train, Funny Valentine literally creates a dimension where any harm meant for him is redirected into the universe. So just imagine you aim a punch at him. Instead, some random guy across town will randomly stub his toe, meaning that D4C can basically alter karma he can just put his bad karma to someone else. Or another example, he can straight up just deflect bullets and just let it hit something else. Now, scientifically speaking, if we were to try to explain this, we would go into the world of quantum entanglement. Araki's version of it is kind of weird though. Bro basically hacks karma. So how does anyone beat this? Let alone Johnny. Enter Tuss Act 4, and this is where it gets a little crazy, so please try to have an open mind here. Tuss Act 4 is Johnny's stand, and it has the power to spin his fingernails. You heard that correctly. It has the powers to spin his fingernails. I said fingernails, yes. Now he can spin his fingernails with an infinite rotation. Tuss can break through the multiverse protections of D4C. Picture it like this. Johnny creates a spin so powerful, it locks his opponent in an inescapable loop. Now this is looking a little similar to Giorno, but it's completely different. It's kind of like being trapped between two mirrors that endlessly reflect back to one another. Funny Valentine attempts to escape, but Tuss Act 4 just traps him in a fate-bound rotation, where every move he makes just loops right back onto him. Johnny has essentially created an infinite checkmate that even another reality can't escape, basically creating another depth loop in a different manner from Giorno, an even worse manner for that fact. Guys, you're probably looking at the timestamp of this video right now and you're wondering if it can get any worse. Long story short, save some time, it gets worse. Just when we thought Jojo's fights have maxed out on complexity, part 8 Jojo Lion says, "Hold my stand, arrow." Was that a funny joke, guys? Please like and sub if that was a funny joke. Here we meet Josuke, whose own origin is just one big puzzle, and he's taking on the stand Wonder of You, controlled by Tooru, an unassuming but terrifying antagonist, bro, with powers that almost rewrite reality itself. So what does the stand Wonder of You do? Its power is to control something called Calamity, which causes bad luck to anyone who even tries to pursue or harm Tooru. Imagine just thinking about attacking Tooru, and then suddenly you just trip over nothing, or you hit your head and accidentally delete all your save game files or delete everything on your hard drive. Wonder of You amplifies these calamities to deadly levels. The more Josuke tries to get close, the more misfortunes strike him and his allies, sometimes in completely inexplicable ways. Now, scientifically speaking, Wonder of You's ability is like quantum probability on steroids. It taps into the idea that by intending to do something, you can actually create a series of probable bad outcomes that become more likely as you act. Araki's take on it is essentially, if the universe doesn't want you to do something, it'll throw every obstacle in your path. And Josuke's somehow got to figure out how to beat that. And here's where things get even weirder. Josuke's stand now, soft and wet, lets him steal properties from objects like friction, sound, or even memories by using bubbles that seem normal but are actually three-dimensional spins. Now this is a part of the video where I'm going to ask you to please hold on to your brain, because it might just plop out your head because this makes no sense. During the battle against Wonder of You, Josuke discovers that these bubbles that he creates are actually spinning lines that are too small to see. They're like invisible razor wire, which he uses this to outwit Wonder of You. In the end, it's a showdown of abstract reality warping abilities where Josuke weaponizes Soft and Wet's invisible spin against Wonder of You's Calamity. It's like he's countering fate itself with tiny razor sharp bubbles. Yep, that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for you. Araki took concepts from quantum mechanics, probability, string theory, put them in a blender, and somehow, some way, came down to a spinning bubble being capable of defeating fate and stand with the power of predetermination. Like, Araki just makes these fights make sense, I guess. Science can back them up somewhat, but bro, I am not letting a guy with a sailor costume defeat me with a bubble, bro. Now, just imagine this. All of these reality-defying fights we've discussed so far, they're happening while these characters look like they just walked off a runway. And this is an important part of the video, okay? In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, every character isn't just fighting with supernatural powers. They're doing it in absolute drip, bro. From the beginning, Araki brought an unmistakable sense of style to his characters, blending unique fashion with the over-the-top essence of his storytelling. These aren't your typical anime uniforms or superhero outfits. We're talking full-on designer-level creations inspired by Gucci, Versace, and even Louis Vuitton. Araki's love for fashion became so intertwined with the series that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is now iconic in the world of anime as it is in fashion. In fact, Araki has literally collaborated directly with Gucci. In 2011, Araki teamed up with Gucci for a special exhibit in Tokyo featuring JoJo characters styled in the brand's clothing. And he even created a one-shot manga where JoJo characters wear Gucci Spring's 2013 collection. So yeah, these aren't just any clothes, they're couture, or clothes designed for that specific character with purpose. And it's not just promotional work either. Araki himself draws inspiration from these actual fashion magazines, these runway shows, and just classical art. Its design for JoJo characters is literally rooted in classical statues like Michelangelo's David, giving each character a unique sculptural look with exaggerated poses and dynamic expressions. But why all this fashion in a series about punching ghosts and reality ending battles? Because in JoJo, everything is a part of the story. As insane the fights are, or how weird it may seem from my explanations, the elaborate, sometimes absurd clothing emphasizes the characters' personalities and the larger than life concepts and abilities. Think about it. Only in JoJo's would someone look at a guy in a heart-shaped crop top and think, yeah, he's about to erase time, isn't he, bro? Like, he's about to just reset the universe. Or a character who can trap someone in an infinite death loop just dressed up in like haute couture. It's all a part of Araki's vision, where the visuals are just as important as the plot itself, and each era of JoJo reflects the style of his time. Part 1 and Part 2, set in the early 1900s, brought from the Victorian and military fashion style. But by the time we reach Part 5 and Part 6, you're seeing influences from Italian luxury fashion and 90s streetwear, which each character designed to look like they just left a Milan fashion show, bro. In Part 7, we're in the American West, so characters are styled with cowboy motifs and vintage Americana fashion, with the JoJo twist, of course. So yeah, JoJo fights make no sense, but that's what makes them iconic. Rocky's blending of science, absurdity, and pure creativity has taken JoJo beyond logic into a territory all of its own. And if you're still here, congrats, cause you deserve a master's degree in physics. If you made it this far, of course. You literally survived a trip through the nonsensical universe of JoJo. And guys, I'm just the average JoJo fan diving into deep philosophical and science bending abilities. You should see like the internet's take on some of these JoJo fights. I may make a video about that, but anyways, if you're new around here, subscribe because I put a ton of effort into these videos and I'm missing a ton of assignments because I make these, and I would largely appreciate the support. And like the video for me if you like JoJo's, or if you don't like it, that's fine, that's completely valid, but still like the video. My next couple of videos may be larger projects like watching your anime recommendations or reading your manga recommendations, so I may be uploading a bit inconsistent, but don't worry, more banger videos to come, and hopefully we hit that 10,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year. Anyways, I won't hold you guys any longer. Until next time.